The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak. Either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems.
What can we do to stop it?
At national level, of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
Hey Teddy, have you noticed how little attention science and health issues get in the media?
Totally, Edgar, yet science information is very important.
Yeah, for sure. That's why the Health Journalists Network is here.
How can they help?
They are a group of journalists dedicated to advancing public understanding of healthcare issues through impactful reporting on health and science.
Oh, really?
Yes, they meet up every month with scientists and researchers, policymakers, and activists at the science media cafes. They then relay what they discuss to the public.
Does that benefit us?
Oh yes, very much so. This helps with health and science literacy for a healthy Ugandan society.
Okay. I love getting informed about science and health issues. Health information makes all the difference between life and death. I'll look them up and engage them.
That's great. They are based all over the country.
Oh, okay. That's interesting, and they should be making real impact.
They are empowering health communities through journalism. Journalists can save lives just like doctors.
The Alternative Digital. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak. either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital. The Alternative Digital. Real issues, real talk.
My presumption is that all our viewers are doing well. My name is Norman Tumuhimbise. I always sit in here with a wonderful panel of intellectuals that even when there are some stories in the corridors that there is some bit of intellectual dishonesty out there when it comes to issues of national importance, I trust that you enjoy the intellectuals that we always host here because they call a spade a spade. Every Monday, 7 to 9, is when we are privileged to have our panel. Unlike other Mondays today, we are missing Honorable Awich Pola, the Director, External Affairs at NRM. It was an emergency meeting with powers that be, but he communicated and sent his apologies. Nonetheless, still we have a trio. We are with Professor Rogers Barigayomwe. In one way or the other, save for Honorable which being NRM, but when it comes to the entirely related issues, I want to believe that Honorable Wechipola is fully represented by his OB, Professor Rogers Barigayomwe. We're also privileged to have our Council Yvonne Mpambara, who desired at some point to appear on the presidential ballot paper, and as far as we know, she says she was failed. That's what is on record. She was failed by the powers that be, and in particular Electoral Commission. And of course, we had her some time ago where she was putting every allegations on record about how she couldn't make it at the time because of what she termed as imperfections or otherwise by the Electoral Commission. Also, we have with us Mr. Joseph Ochieno. To date, he's still battling in court with the other UPC leaders. Of course, for the seat of the leadership of UPC, that's Uganda People's Congress, one of the oldest political parties in Uganda. In fact, it's a party that helped Uganda attain its independence on 9th October 1962. Here we are with the intellectuals to share their mind on our topic of discussion, but tonight we are going to discuss in particular two issues. We have 365 days of Dr. Besigye's imprisonment, and we are trying to wonder on whether it is Dr. Besigye on trial or the judiciary. It's kind of philosophical, so we'll hear from the three intellectuals to share with us who is trying who and who is being tried. As we move along, we shall also dive deep and hear from them in regards to the statement by the President, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Musevni Tibuhaburwa. In regards to the Indian Ocean, for some reason, if I may simplify what he said, he's not happy with why would Kenyans enjoy the coastline alone. Okay, the landlocked countries, where we go, but that's in our, in our second hour. For the first hour, we shall pay all our attention onto the Dr. Besigye's incarceration so far, 1 year, but also not forgetting the NUP and some other opposition members that were arrested in 2021. To date, none of us can tell their fate, because even when the Supreme Court rather asked the General Court Martial to forward and or transfer their files to the DPP so that they could be tried in the civilian courts, sadly, these gentlemen and some ladies are still in Kitaria and some other prisons pending for the transfer of their files from the General Court Martial to the... But of course, we also await the appointment of the new court martial judges, should we say so, among other things that we await as citizens of the Republic of Uganda. The breaking news for today is that the former Bangladesh Prime Minister, one Sheikh, if I may read her name properly, Hasina Wazid, has been sentenced to death because apparently the courts found her guilty for having ordered for the killings, should we call them the murders, of 1,400 Bangladesh citizens during the 2024 demonstrations. The court found her guilty and she has been sentenced to death. We await and we shall be, of course, updating you in the event of any appeal. We are here to inform you. That's what is coming in from the Asian side of the world. Maybe I should, of course, begin with Professor Bargayomwe to say hello to our viewers. There are 3 assignments. Saying hello to our viewers, giving your brief comment about the conviction of the former Bangladesh Prime Minister. Of course, what do you learn from this on behalf of your fellow other intellectuals and lawyers? And of course, summarize for us your week. Then we shall cross to Yvonne and Mr. Ochieno. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Norman. A great evening to our viewers and to my colleagues, Joseph as usual. And I'm always privileged to have my OG. This time I don't have. By the way,
yeah, I forgot to mention you have an OG. When the OB misses, you have an OG.
At least I'm not one of the doubted people who went to school. I always have representatives. Yeah. So we don't have these people who
What do you mean?
There are some people
those who say
start in centers and like
even who say my school no longer exists.
So these schools exist. It's a pleasure to always come to discuss. And I'm proud of Joseph's persistence and Yvonne here to make it. She makes me proud. She's a strong Muchiga woman who always, Bachiga stand by the truth.
Some that haven't really been consistent.
But at least she's a representative of those who stand. Yeah, she's an iron lady. I'm proud to be associated with her. About the Bangladesh issue, it's related to what is happening to the 1 year Kizza Besigye being in prison. It's a symbol that when you're given power, actually, or the more power you have, the bigger risk you have. And the whole thing is, all of us, the Bible says that he who is given a lot is expected from them. So whenever you're given power, you should use it rightfully. And whenever you liberate, because I'll talk about Kizza Besigye, who is one of the liberators, and they thought they had liberated the country. And unfortunately, one of them is being tried. Now it's a year without justice. It's a sign for those ones who are trying him that actually, even them, if they are not careful with how they are using this power is delegated from God, and it should not be misused by any human being. For me, actually, my the only safety is that you use it to advocate for other people's, because at one time all of us will be tried. We are all at risk. especially my disappointment was Ugandans keeping quiet on this issue of Dr. Kizza Besigye. And as we see from Bangladesh, worldwide, it's just a moment for every one of us. Even us who are not going to be tried on earth here, it's that even in heaven there is a trial. So basically, it should be noted that every human being is waiting for a trial. But whether in this life or the life next. But unfortunately, for those who say that our history, where it's coming from, the ones who condemn the past and they are continuing to do these vices, it's more unfortunate. And as Ugandans, as all citizens of the world, as an international body, we should stand and say enough is enough. Nobody should be unfairly tried. And so that is my issue of the week. The week is moving on well, and we are studying all these events internationally, and some are very interesting, the ones we are going to discuss, but that's how the world is moving, and I'm happy I have an opportunity, and that's why I said when I have an opportunity for me, I use it, because I know at one time it will be my chance to be tried. I'm more careful actually when I'm given any platform to talk about people's rights.
If I may ask you, Professor, and I should say it's quite important for me to ask you this before I cross to Mpambara and Joseph Ochieno. In fact, the same question also crossed on to them. How best do you think any president or any person that has the executive powers could apply their powers without abusing other powers? Because if you look at the Sheikh Hasina Wazid, who is convicted, she's being accused of ordering for the killings of 1,400 people in Bangladesh last year. One wonders, so how best could such a leader have executed their powers without seeing killings? Because we are driving onto this, relying on so many precedents in Uganda. You remember the Kabaka, the Buganda Kayunga riots. You remember the Bobby Wine arrest sometime towards the elections of 2021. How best do you think such a situation ought to be managed by those that have power without, of course, without people abusing the law and or causing chaos? Because I've heard Mr. Musevni talk about insurrection. We manage this insurrection. How do you think such people ought to have managed such insurrections, if we could put them in quotes?
Anyone who has excessive power or power, the best they can use it is, one, to institutionalize such that you're exonerated in case of anything. There are institutions which are accountable. And definitely, as a leader, you should not interfere with these institutions to basically make sure you're not caught in between. And the other thing, of course, is people. I wonder why people like the power, because it is real risky, and in any case, they should take it for a short time, because I've personally taken responsibility, but any responsibility has its sacrifices and risks. So when I see people who still like to hold on beyond time, or all these offices are given for a time because they have a lot of responsibility and risk. So the only thing is to hold it as shortly as possible. Then also to put institutions such that, because all of us who have power have personal weaknesses, such that when your personal weakness comes in, it does not put you at risk, because then an institution is answerable, not you as an individual. So this is now where many people get it wrong, that one, they want to hold on to the power, which is very risky. Then the other thing, they interfere even then with the institutions. Instead, they would strengthen the institution so that we make sure the institutions rise beyond the individuals.
If I gave you 40 seconds to state the specific key lesson by you and that you would wish other leaders to learn?
In 40 seconds, I would really say power is a very risky resource. We should, in any case, take due diligence as we try to have it, and we should actually, before we should do a personal evaluation of ourselves if we have power. Like, personally, whatever word, because you are going to be accountable at any time for any action you've done. So you should do a self-evaluation, and it goes to all these political leaders, especially now people who are campaigning, wanting posts. Some of them just look at the monetary value and they don't look at the risky value of their power.
Okay, thank you, Professor Rogers. Let me cross to Yvonne Mpambara. Even when she has put on blue, she doesn't subscribe to FDC, but she may be at heart, she likes people who, you know, she sympathizes with the blue people. Yeah, PFF actually, it also has blue. Yeah, sorry to our viewers, and you will answer the very questions that I asked Professor Rogers, but maybe for a reminder, it's yesterday but one, on 15th November is when Dr. Besigye was arrested. Some lawyers have mentioned and used kidnap, so many other words, abduction.
Abducted.
Gladly, he had appeared here with us on Friday, and he was arrested on Saturday. So he had left here with his show, Face the the interface. So we are the last people to have him on record. And his show, I want to believe, I think the management considered having his show run tomorrow, a year ago. Tell us, as a politician, activist, and a lawyer, how does it make you feel to hear that someone who once treated the president as a personal physician, many have termed him as a hero, and he belongs to the first 200 NRA fighters, being in prison for now a year, and to so many, especially lawyers, think that it's the judiciary on trial, not Besigye. Proceed from there.
Do I still first answer the...
No. I was giving some bit of a springboard for you to just have to say hello.
Good evening, our viewers, and to all those who have tuned in, and at whatever particular intervals or times, I greet you all. Thank you for hosting us, Norman and your team. And I think I'll kick off just from what you had earlier discussed about the Bangladesh former...
Yeah, sure.
It's very important. I would think there's been a very heated discussion from the globe in general about the death sentence, especially the kind of precedent it carries when it comes to that amount of power being invested either in certain persons to be able to conduct something like that. Because I would assume our president having the power to put someone to death, and it would scare me, because I don't know how many of his opponents by now would have. Dead. So much as it sets a very good example in terms of the next leaders learning a lesson, or leaders around the world learning a similar lesson, it also sets a very dangerous precedent in terms of the misuse of power of the death sentence. And I think that's why around the world it has been a very heated discussion on whether it should either be made an absolute right, or it remains largely debatable on whether, you know, it's
Are you for or against?
Exclusion. I'm definitely against.
What about those that are being killed on someone's orders? Are you also giving them justice? Because there's, in law, you know, I know you know what we call a deterrent sentence. So don't you think that could also deter a one leader that is likely to kill or give orders to kill others, and then okay, you kill one, you save the rest of the leaders in the future?
Well, I mean, before the law, you're not guilty until you're tried.
She was
and found guilty. She was tried, yes, but then again, that precedent.
Okay.
Because if we are talking about the precedent of setting something like that.
Yeah.
of setting a death penalty
Yeah.
as an actual sentence that you want to live in the power of leaders who might have to exercise at a given point. We see what has been happening in Congo. Congo has been talking about executing Kabila.
Pambara, kindly let us, for some reason and for the benefit of our viewers, also interrogate 1,400 citizens peacefully demonstrating in Bangladesh. A one was orders for their killings, and she is tried. Remember, the other 1,400 weren't tried. Well, some person would call it extrajudicial killings by those that have the power. So she's tried, sentenced to death, you know, for ordering for the murders of 1,400. I don't know whether you want to go by the biblical word of an eye for an eye to make all of us blind. But
no, there's so many forms of justice. There are so many forms of justice, but to me, I do not think I would agree with the death sentence. I don't think I would agree with it. It sets a very strong example for other leaders never to do the same thing again, but then again, you cannot leave such a power to other leaders to execute. It becomes very dangerous in the hands of the wrong hands. But so anyway, we'll assume it happens that way, that, you know, if you've done something wrong, that's what happens. You've killed people. That eye for an eye eventually becomes very dangerous because, like I've given you the examples, there are certain powers that will still take advantage of it and use it the wrong way. What has been happening globally, I think even the former French president has been sent to jail. And I think he's among the first ever presidents to actually go to jail for previous misconduct, misuse of funds. I don't know. I think there was a much wider story to it than that. So it's clearly...
Is it Nicolas Sarkozy?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
So I think the world is also slowly setting a trend in terms of people that have absolute power that misbehave, that I feel is slowly going to start infiltrating into the rest. So we are yet to see what's going to happen.
Don't mention Uganda. Okay.
I'll not mention. So now that will bring us to this case we are looking at right here. Retired Colonel Kizza Besigye having been in jail for a year, and the different situations we've witnessed as a country, not even just as a country, as a region, to our shock that he's abducted from Kenya, a country we assumed is safe because all the way from other years and centuries, I think these countries have always been where we go for refuge, asylum. They've always been the safe countries. So for us to find out that, you know, one of our own has been abducted from Kenya and brought to Uganda to be tried on very shady charges, it's a scary thing. Because if we're looking at the idea of East African integration, is that what we're thinking about? Is that what we're thinking about? So it showed that regionally, that integration we're thinking about is degenerating, because instead of going progressively, now we are going against the citizens themselves. We're going against the citizens themselves. So it's unfair that government has been curbing Besigye down for such a long time, because it's not the first time we're seeing something like this happen, all the way from 2000s, I think, 2005. He's been in jail so many times for different charges, for different reasons, and we feel it's so repetitive that it becomes very difficult even to trust government that what they're doing is right.
If I may ask you, just in a second, sorry, if I may ask you, if we are in Mr. Museveni's shoes, you here, because now we're using this analogy, you are in Museveni's shoes, so you are Museveni, and here Mpambara is in Nairobi. You know, you are trying to rely on the intelligence that Mpambara is trying, you know, to do dubious activities against you. How best would you have managed such a situation?
You're putting me in his shoes?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay,
who's okay? You here? Okay,
I did not try to be in his shoes.
You are a president of a specific country. You here, Professor Rogers is planning something. How best would you have managed such a situation?
The problem is we've seen all these tricks so many times. It becomes very hard to trust an institution that has played so many games, so many political gimmicks, so many games. Because if it has been happening for this long to Besigye, then it has also happened to certain members of opposition over time. Why are we trusting that the government is doing the right thing? How many cases have been brought against Besigye? The first one was about him raping, I think, a house. Someone was helping in his house.
Chakua,
the second, there have been so many. So how are we supposed to believe in 2025 or 2024 when he was arrested out of a blue that he's being accused of treason? And that was not even the first time. How are we supposed to believe government that they're actually not lying, that Museveni is not lying?
The same
He's
way
done the same thing.
You see, in Pambara, the same way they would say, previously, he never spent a whole year with us. Now we could be having something tangible, a reason for which he spent the whole year. But proceed from there. I'm trying to ensure that...
It still can be an excuse, because also we've had political prisoners over time that have been in those, most of whom we don't even know. They've disappeared in there. How long have we been running those hashtags that we need to release all political prisoners in Uganda? Demanding for the release of opposition members that have disappeared inside jail. They've been years and years. So it's still not an excuse for them to say that Besigye, this is what he has done, we believe in it, and then you assume that the population is going to allow it. It's not. It's not, because you've played the same tricks over and over for decades.
What do you make of the judiciary now when it comes to the doctrine of separation of powers? Do you consider them independent? In particular, when it comes to Dr. Besigye and some other political prisoners?
I think that was even a debate we had recently when I was with Mr. Ochieno, when we were discussing the achievements of the Constitution, or how far it has come, and we're looking at the separation of powers and how they performed. Honestly, we all know in Uganda that the judiciary has now failed to independently work, because Museveni has sat on it. He will give the orders and tell you, if I don't want this to shift, it will not shift. He will tell you, I'm going to pay this one, they pay them. That case will never move, or they will do whatever they want to do.
What do you call the Supreme Court ruling against the General Court Martial, if you want to say it is not independent?
But you see what happened after that? What happened after that ruling? They passed a UPDF Act.
That's Parliament.
No. But who was controlling even that passing of that? Because
and
the Supreme Court had clearly said...
With her deputy.
No. At times they also know that they are passing these things, but they know the executive is going to. It's not going to allow it to pass. It's not going to allow it to.
How independent? How many marks would you give the judiciary in terms of their independence?
A 3 out of 10. They've done a 3.
Oh, okay.
They're not independent. They're not independent. They're under the rule and control of Museveni. We have to be honest about that, because Museveni will wake up tomorrow and abuse them and insult them, and they will obey and they will cower. They will cower. They will pass they will rule in favor of citizens not being tried in court martial, but at the end of the day they have no power to actually execute. How does it happen that after they...
Sorry, proceed, sorry.
How does it happen that after that Parliament can still confidently pass a UPDF Act that still tries civilians in the court martial? How?
I think the argument was that even when the General Court Martial chooses to do so, it should be presided over by land friends.
No.
One of the highlights
no,
they made,
no,
and a reason for which they don't mind having, Parliament may not mind having the General Court Martial instituted and under custodianship of land friends, who to the Supreme Court's wisdom was that the likes of Freeman and others literally, they did not qualify. No. And maybe that can be another argument for some time.
No. And I think that's why we've been bringing the argument that the reason why we would not want civilians tried in the court martial is because high courts are capable of trying those same cases. They don't have to go to court commercial. As long as someone is a civilian, they have no right to try them. Because high court is capable of handling that. The normal courts of Uganda are capable of handling those cases. So you're undermining...
I'll bring the same question to Professor Rogers slightly later after Mr. Joseph Ochieno, because one still wonders, Mpambara, why would a civilian fear to be tried in a general court martial that is being presided over by land friends, not just the military appointees?
Why?
I'll come to you.
Why should they?
Why should they?
And why not? You see, everyone you want to
But
answer the why.
that's why I've told you.
Answer the why not. But
Sorry, that's why I've told you that you're undermining the independence of the normal courts, because that's
debatable.
their role.
Does that qualify general court martial being an abnormal court?
It's too obnoxious.
But it's not their role to try civilians.
It's
not.
Let me give you a minute and ask you about you mentioned the East African community as a bloc, when it comes to Dr. Besigye's abduction, if I may apply the word, and of course, you look at the two most recently now, taken activists back to Kenya. Of course, all of these games in courts are played by the chief player, if I should say, Uganda as a country, being presided over by Mr. Museveni as our, that's the official player, yeah? Where does such leave the image and or the entire protocol of the East African community?
I mean, it's not even just that. Agatha, my friend, recently.
Yeah, by the way, Agatha in TZ. Yeah,
what happened to her in Tanzania? She was tortured. There was another Kenyan national who was tortured from there as well. The Kenyan gentleman who had come to campaign for Bobi Wine, same thing. They were kept in a fridge or refrigerator, as the president's son said. I think it's very disappointing that instead of progressing towards integration and a federation, that we're regressing towards civilian abuse. It's very unfortunate, and I don't know which games now they are playing. I don't know if this is their idea of maybe how they are going to bring all our brains together to start fighting as a one East African federation or one East African community. But I feel this is not the level where we should be retrogressing from. Conversations, say, around the ocean should be very important. But it can't be in isolation. It can't be in isolation. You cannot be abusing civilians in the different East African countries, but at the same time you're talking about progress of we need access to the sea.
Okay, I'll cut you short and cross to Mr. Joseph Ochieno, but also to remind you that the president clearly said that those two gentlemen were experts in the demonstrations. And okay, Mr. Ochieno, proceed. Let's begin.
Who said that one?
The president. Remember the previous week, Mr. Museveni said that those two that had selected here to help Bobi Wine to organize demonstrations, that they are experts, and I mark his word, experts in demonstrations. But of course, let's begin from there.
And what is he expert in?
Keeping peace and Pan-Africanism. But proceed, that's what he says. Proceed from there, say hello to our viewers, and you give us your take home when it comes to the former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Dr. Besigye's 1 year in jail, who is trying who?
Do I have to start off in a particular order?
It's
a pleasure to be here, really. Sometimes when I'm lucky that you don't start with me, and usually by the second time, by the time I am about to be reached, sometimes I feel so despondent, and I keep on asking myself, am I wasting time? Am I wasting my fuel, particularly this terrible end potholes of Kampala? We've sung and sung and sung. That's what the Okelo used to say. You sing, sing, sing. We've gone through this thing after so many years, and we're going around, one. But number two, you get the arguments being made by my fantastic friends, both of them are land, and you see the hollowness, and you sort of can't believe that this is an independent nation state called the Republic of Uganda, that my party fought for our independence. And you can't believe that this is 2025. And you can't believe that this is Uganda that is 45 years after Idi Amin. And you can't believe that the bunch who are in charge are certainly people who've gone to school, who, unfortunately, for me, sometimes I use that word unfortunately, they even went to fantastic UPC schools because they're not really terribly illiterate. Some of them might be emotionally illiterate, some of them might be spiritually drained. But these seem to be sensible, reasonable human beings. Sometimes you see them on television and they really boast, and they look decent guys. And once in a while you meet some of these people and their associates, and they're not particularly bad people. I don't know. So it's really genuinely irritating. And so that is 12 months of Kizza Besigye's miseries in a criminal jail. I attended one of those trials. I only went once, and I didn't go back for many reasons, including I thought that day when they assaulted Aaron Kizza, I was there. I was there with Martha Karua. I was there with one or two other colleagues from elsewhere. I was actually the most senior political leader from Ugandan perspective there with Martha. And I sort of had to apologize to these people that, because Martha really was nearly manhandled herself. It was not particularly a decent scene. This is much in the Norman.
Yeah, as we see on the screen. Yeah.
Norman, lest you forget, Yvonne, the incident that involved Aaron Kizza in court, I was within reasonably close
as we can,
proximity.
as you can see there, that's exactly.
That was now the much later one, but the initial process starting from the court, how they had to pull
the entrance
him off.
Itself,
how they pulled,
That's it, yeah.
It was terrible, but traumatizing and very traumatic, including for me, who's sort of reasonably seasoned. And so I go back to Bangladesh. 29 years ago, I was an activist. 29 years ago, I was amongst the senior leaders of the party pushing for return to pluralism in Uganda. And 29 years ago, I was massively engaging on a daily basis with Cecile Ogwal here in Uganda House, and I was in London. So there was this push for the 1996 NRA elections. And of course the party was divided on whether or not we should participate in the elections following the NRA 1995 constitution with a crude, obnoxious provision that banned political parties. I was on the side that simply said that this was an insult to Ugandans. I've been proven right, and that we didn't need to have anything to do with it. Strategically, and quite rightly, a number of our colleagues believed that we needed to participate in the process, and that includes Cecile Ogwal. Unfortunately, Cecile and a few others, I'll say it for the record, their push for participation were more than strategic. There's some other interests, including foreign interests, trying to push their direction. Milton Obeid and I, and most party leaders, believed, I think strategically, you could see the argument from the other side that we needed to participate. So leading towards the elections, elections take place in Bangladesh. And the Awami League, the party of Sheikh Salina, was then the opposition political party. The military and the strong men and a few women like the NRA guys here play around with the process. And so the Awami League, the opposition, decide that the process had been so fudged that there was no need for going for second round election. So they decided that they're not going to leave the streets of Dakar. They're not going to leave the streets of Dakar unless and until the other side came to a concession. These guys went to the streets. I think it was nearly 3 months. Bangladesh was at a halt. Yvonne, Bangladesh was at a halt. So much that the power of the people, I don't want to use people power, which has now been used, sort of abused and misrepresented, but I was a supporter of people power as a movement in the Republic of Uganda. So the power of the people compelled the Bangladeshi authorities, you know, guys, these things can happen, compelled the Bangladeshi authority to carve in. Fresh elections were held, and the Awami League won. The opposition won the elections. My point is, I did not follow Bangladesh very much since then. But the reason why I put it in context is now this is the Bangladesh of today. But because of that, I was telling Cecile Ogwal and our UPC colleagues, and indeed UPC and DP colleagues here, that as we're approaching the NRA fudged elections of 1995, the Musevenis had already put on military suits, say they're not going to leave there, they're not going to hand over to Semogerere. They put Obotes. Milton Obote was an extremely handsome man, but he was now old. So they put this funny head of his in bogeyman, Obeid is the ghost. No, Obeid is a spirit in heaven, and you guys will be very lucky to go and sit next to Jesus where Milton Obeid is, because I know people in this crude regime who will find it extremely hard to go anywhere, not in heaven, but near heaven. So anyway, so what happens is this. We were saying NRA had opened new polling stations, because this is a very important conversation, consider that we're going towards elections. NRA had opened many polling stations. In fact, there's alleged 100 new polling stations in Kampala. Of course, things have changed since, you know. And so many things, abductions, terror, blocking, Semogero going to campaign in other places like they're trying to do with Chagulanyi and others. So remember, this is Ochenos, this is part of a paragraph in my memoirs to be, that look, Sisi, you had been telling us that our foreign friends, so-called donor communities, are telling us to participate in these sham no-party elections. And so we are participating in part because of their pressure. If we don't, we're going to look back bad at them as if they determine our sovereignty. But that's a different topic. But also guys in opposition, and this is important for guys in the campaigns, were saying to us that, look, Joseph, we are getting huge support in the rallies. And Obote had told them that you may have 1 million people in a rally, but that 1 million is not the ballots. You don't guarantee that they'll be translated in the vote. So our argument was, why don't we defy this thing? I'm revealing this, I'm sure, Museveni's crude intelligence. Some of them, some very ugly guys in London used to follow me. So I know, they have the information. So we're pushing that, no, let's defy these things. Stay firm until, one, they lift Article 269, and they lift the ban on Article 269. 2, repeal, and then you young lawyers and young activists, we push for constitutional review. We push for a creation of an environment in which there is a level playing field where parties and leaders and organizations can go and participate in the election freely and fairly, and people are not treated the way they've treated the young Yvonne here, who wanted to participate in the elections. So we're using Bangladesh. I was telling you, Cecilia, you see, it can work. Obviously, we lost that argument, but I thought I would bring it. But shockingly, that is now the leader of Awami League, who, over a period of time, they become so intolerant. And so orders for the killing, again, I didn't really follow too much of those details, and she's now being subjected to the death penalty. But Yvonne, Uganda actually has a death penalty in the statutes. Number 2, you need to know, I'm very proud of UPC, that I'm fundamentally opposed to the death penalty, and that a future UPC government, one of the first things I would seek to do is to kill death penalty. Is an extremely archaic and outdated thing. But number 3, that under 2 UPC administrations, my president, along the line, said he does not have the right, even if the death penalty is granted by courts, to sign. Of course, the presidents would normally do. So where I don't necessarily agree with you is that you can have that in the statute, you know, but you remember the last time Museveni signed it to kill people, you know? you know,
of Kasim Obura and Sebirumbi.
He killed those people, like this Sebirumbi here. Hajji Sebirumbi in normal times is supposed to be, and I'm saying it, repeating on the camera, in Luwero. Sebirumbi was a UPC chairman, UPC chairman who was defending a democratically elected government. And we know one of the reasons why Sebirumbi was killed was because Museveni thought Sebirumbi would be on their sides, the sides of the bandits. You know, Sebirumbi is a nationalist.
I think his book, in his writings, he says that Sebirumbi personally executed Rita Maguzi. That's what. Okay, that's what we read.
There's no. As a district chairperson, there's been no need for that. I don't know the details, but it's almost certainly unlikely. But anyway, like Museveni, they say about some of these things. But anyway, Sebirumbi was killed, was murdered by these NRA guys. He's a national hero. He's not that. But in any case, neither here nor there. So this death penalty thing can be used by crude guys. You see the guys who boast about death penalty and they appear breaking people in rail wagons. Nobody should really order the killing of anybody. And that's why we're saying, as we're having this debate, Besigye's fight and all those ones, we need to reach a stage in which we reinstitutionalize politics, in which we reinstitutionalize governance, and we create a situation in which we're able to agree to disagree, go through electoral process, we have good winners, we have good losers, and then winners try to do the best of what they can, and like my colleagues say, serve your time and then try and let go. You know, Bangladesh has now already gone substantial vicious circle. It's very unfortunate.
No, man.
Yes.
But to conclude on you want to say something before I say something?
It's a bit of a rejoinder or something?
No, like, okay, personally, you had asked me to comment. I don't believe I've really...
Yeah, I wanted to... okay, but it's
he
when...
concludes.
What do you think? Is it a rejoinder to his...
If it's a rejoinder, yes, but I can conclude.
That's fine, you can share your...
I come in.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Yeah, so coming to Besigye, which I had talked about Besigye, but you realize it was not about the Besigye, but giving an important background. And that's why the Besigye saga is extremely unfortunate. Unfortunate, unfair, but the impunity on African continent compels me to say in East Africa, if only you talk about the East African community, no, we don't have an East African community. The last East African community we had was of Julius Nyerere, Jomo Kenyatta and Milton Obote. We've never had another East African community. The rest is a boy-girls game. At the moment, it's really a bunch of dictators basically controlling the region. No, Africans are alone, and East Africans are alone. Besigye, unfortunately, Rogers, you said they went to liberate. I want to say no. The 1981 Luwero War that Besigye very blindly joined was not a liberation war. It was a war of terror against the citizens of the Republic of Uganda, against a democratically elected government. Now, to the extent that Besigye did that and was lured into that for whatever reason, and goes down there and they subject Ugandans to terror, but saves Mr. Musevni to that, is the more reason why I think the Besigye who commits himself, he comes back in 1986, I don't want to be too harsh, it was going to be harsh, you know, very confident, decent, young, Muchiga, completely convictionist, driving this whole thing for NRA. I see his write-up of 1999, which causes him problem. Again, half of it I don't agree, but it's a different thing. But you see a man who genuinely believes, you may not agree with him, believes a particular direction for a good republic of Uganda. That Besigye is a man that has been betrayed by NRA. That Besigye is a man who it's completely unacceptable that in our faces he should spend 1 year in a criminal jail having been criminally pulled from Kenya. There is no circumstance under which a Besigye would have happened in a UPC-1, a Besigye would happen under UPC-2 that they were fighting, and never will it ever happen in a UPC-3 in which I'm involved. I think how we're able to depoliticize this thing and make it really as a national symbol, regardless of the devil's advocate case you put to Yvonne, regardless of whatever he may or may not have done. I have argued from the beginning, if Besigye committed an offense, the sensible thing for the Ugandan NRA authorities to do is subject this guy to due process of the law.
Okay.
If it's not anything like that, Besigye should be released long time ago. It's a shame that Besigye is in jail. NRA guys are campaigning around the country. They're not being challenged. And Besigye, we may pass the election time and NRA gets away with it through the ballot.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cheno. I'm coming to you, and you will close our remaining minutes into the second hour. But of course, I want to believe that Mr. Ocheno, most likely, you know that there are some people out there who say, and I don't know how your comment stands, that your UPC government had a hand in Mutesa's death far away in UK. Those who have that thought, don't you think they can also, you know, that you could have, you as in UPC, you could have taught Mr. Musevni that you can also stretch your hand to the neighborhood and deal with your opponent? That
is simplistic, and I'm tired of that narrative. And like Yvonne was saying at the beginning, coming from you guys as the fourth estate, the more you even attempt that, it's actually a wrong example to use, because it erupts into the hands of dictators. My role is to inform you what the public says. I'm not saying I'm coming to that. Take it in good faith. Absolutely fine. I'm simply saying that it is such a tempting thing to soothe the NRA criminality and the extremes. You know, no, of course, you don't think that. In 40 seconds, you don't think they're men of Uganda. They're men of Uganda who think so, but it's false. Okay. Mutesa was not killed. Mutesa died from. I have read somewhere, I think last week also, that part of the postmortem report. Okay,
you know, there can always be many reports. Like for Kaida, there are Scotland Yard and so many other reports. And one of the reports was saying that he had been intoxicated, and of course, by the time he died, there were even some bit of wine glasses in his room. Like lots of theories behind.
I think you're going toward that. I'm going to say that. No,
Sure.
no.
So-
Sir Edward was a great friend of Milton Obote. I'm a friend to the family of Sir Edward, and it is something that I take very strongly. I was a net contributor shortly before Milton Obote died. One of the efforts I was making was to bring together the families, and the families are on talking terms. I'm giving you this as an authority. That said, Sir Edward died from alcoholic poisoning, meaning too much alcohol in his body.
Okay.
That's what killed him. Nothing else killed him.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Joseph Ochieno. Now, Professor Rogers, and I have quite, just we're heading to a break. First respond to them, then I come back and
on
give
this
you...
comment, on this I don't think I've really contributed, but let me give a personal story that Uganda is going to circles. Using the narrative, you had issues with the UPC. Using the narrative of the Rakasisi narrative, definitely we as a country, and I thank you, Norman, with this station, that now we are starting to have a real conversation as a country. And these conversations are what Uganda should have. Rakasisi said it in a reconciliation mood, and it wanted, State House tried to manipulate what he wanted to say for their support. But what he was saying, and it has been sort of the philosophy we've been holding, that I've tried two issues to say, were these NRM, including my father, justified to go and stage a political, since they've reversed all these issues? So one of the thesis I'm saying, were they justified to go and fight and leave me at that time, about 3 years, 2 years, traumatized as a child? Before I came to this station, Norman, you called me, and my daughter, who I was with just down here, and we took a picture with Dr. Besigye, said, are you going to that same station? And they arrest you tonight. The way, and I almost made it not to come. It's trauma all Ugandans were passing through, because one, I will tell you that these NRM, who are fathers to some of us, need to repent to this country if they went for a wrong cause, so that they reverse it. Ochen talked about Cecilia Ogwal. In Arua, my father, who was a very vigilant RDC that time, went to stop a UPC rally by Cecilia Ogwal. Besigye himself in Rukunjiri went to sabotage a rally of Semwogerere. At that time, they were so radical for NRM, and they did not know they had been duped in a thing by someone, and they genuinely thought they are capping a resistance to bring peace. Just 10 years after that, they all became a victim. Because I will tell you that after that, Besigye started his paper, which was against government, and he was being victimized. And I'm talking to these RDCs and some of these security people who are vigilant in these things. I'm a victim. Shortly, even Muzei Barigayomwe, they were all forced out of government. The following years, we didn't have school fees. Imagine the next term. We paid our own price for acting, for our... So the following years, the following terms, we didn't all have school fees at all, because of a vigilant man who was not... You get it? Now, this Besigye you see, and my own father followed a system they didn't understand, and they paid a price. From Rakasisi narratives of this power we are talking about, and you said, he said that he had excessive power, which he abused. And at that time, he didn't know that he would account for it. equally, some people have this excessive power. And for them, it is actually, unlike the UPCs who had held it for 10, this one is for 40 years. And some people think it will never
get off their hands.
End. And some have benefited from it even tangibly with a lot of resources that they will not even allow a decent conversation of a transition.
Okay.
And definitely what I'm telling you as a victim is that in a way, I will tell you the truth, Besigye is paying a price. In a way, Musevni, my father, but he paid his own price.
Extended it to you also.
In a way, yeah, all these people, unless we talk about reconciliation, all these people, in a way, Ochen is paying a price of UPC, of UPC having, at one time not considered transition. In a way, every member
at some point
of the establishment right now should just prepare their checks to pay a price for them or their children.
Okay.
So there is no running away from that, as we discuss. Now, the unfortunate situation as we leave this topic is the judiciary assisting systems to abuse power. That even where our fathers, these NRM, who had refuge to run to Tanzania, to Kenya, for our generation, we have no refuge. We just have to sacrifice ourselves in this country because we have nowhere to run to. For them, they had a chance that they ran to Kenya and Tanzania, and that's why their cause was sort of assisted. But in our generation, we have nowhere to run. So we are going to commit suicide in our own country because we have nowhere
you will
to run.
not commit suicide. We shall be here and get you counselors so that you don't commit suicide.
We are traumatized. So,
but for sure, Professor, in the, you see, some things just hard to also believe and stomach. Imagine a situation where a professor is traumatized. What about a foot soldier? Like they say, like they call it. But of course, I will not expect you to answer now. Colleagues, we are breaking shortly, but of course the breaking story now as we speak, a few seconds, I don't know, minutes ago, the President of the Republic of Uganda, in his wisdom, has appointed the former IGG Honorable Betty Kamia Turuomwe as Presidential Advisor General Duties. Let's come back. We're coming back shortly.